This is Road to the Golden Door, where we unpack the proven success formula straight from the minds of Golden Door winners, uncovering the motivation, methods, and the mindset it takes to become an elite performer in door-to-door sales and in life. This is Road to the Golden Door. Now, here's your host, Mikey Lucas.
What's up? Welcome back. Road to the Golden Door. I've got another special guest for us here, a 6-year veteran, just hit his first Golden Door, hailing from the Grit out of Utah, Matt Duvalois. What up, bro? Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Forward to it, man. We had some really cool pre-show conversations. I'm very excited about it. I know that we just technically met. I did see you on stage. I was very excited to get to know you. You look like a pretty cool dude. So I'm excited for our guests to know who you are, especially because of our pre-show conversation. So for everyone that doesn't know Matt Duvalois, who is Matt Duvalois?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I'd probably say first, if people want to know who I am, I think first, my biggest priority is, I'm a husband to my wife, Lauren. I'm a business guy, friend, recruiter, golfer, average golfer. There's a lot of things we can dive right in. Whatever questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
What's your handicap?
Dude, I just barely got into golf 2 years ago. I don't even think
What's your favorite game at Topgolf?
Okay, that's fair. I like to play the virtual courses. It gets me good. Go play a little Pebble Beach at Topgolf. Got the corporate pass at the Grit. That's how I got into golf, actually, is because we have a corporate pass to Fox Hollow Golf Course, and I can golf for free whenever I want. So I'm like, hey, may as well start getting into it.
Love to hear that. Yeah, I've got a golf simulator here at my house, so I tend to golf. I would say a couple times a week. Go hit some rounds. I don't hit 18 holes, but
we're building a new house right now, and that's the plan, is to put a little simulator in there.
Let's go. Even if it's just a net for now, bro. Just you got to have a good, at least to be able to get some swings in.
But yeah, there will be something nice in there.
Love to hear that. Okay, so tell me about let's go back first off to you're going on your 6th year. Is it all in pest control? Okay, so let me start here. I want to know the argument why pest control over roofing, alarms, or solar. It's not a typical question that I ask, but I want to know.
Sure. Honestly, I'm a huge believer that that there's money in all of it. I think that all of them are great options, genuinely. For me, it was interesting. I had a conversation with, I served a mission, LDS mission, 2 years out in Boston. And I remember there's this one guy, he was a member out in one of the areas I served in. He did solar for Vivint. He was one of the regionals for New England. And I just could not believe, his house. He had an Audi RS7. And I'm just dude, what do you do for work? He's I sell solar. I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. He's like, yeah, I do door to door. Been doing it a while. And I was like, wow, that's insane. And I was like, I'm for sure gonna talk to you when I get back. So I ended up getting recruited to I was getting recruited all over the place. One of my buddies was I got home. I was home for a week. He's like, hey man, let's go grab lunch. I'll pay for you. I'm like, sure, why not? And then we grab lunch. He's like, hey, we're actually just gonna take it back to my work, and my manager's gonna talk to you. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. What do you mean? What are you talking about? But anyway, I ended up, getting recruited all these different companies, solar, pest, alarms. And I ended up calling him because I was really interested in going to sell. And I was like, I kind of want to hear his feedback from someone who's done it. So I called him, been way successful in solar. And pretty much he told me, which I really appreciated. He was way transparent and was just he was dude, I was what's the difference between should I go do pest? Should I do solar? He's like, well, would you be willing to move out to, he lived in Connecticut. He's like, would you be willing to move out to Connecticut for the whole year? And I was like, probably not. I'm in college still. Not right now. He's like, well, dude, and then honestly, you should probably do pest. He's like, one, you can get started in pest, learn sales, because I had never done sales before. He's like, you can get started in pest, learn how to do the basics of sales, and then after that, dude, if you start to take off, let's talk. A lot of guys just do a lot better in solar. It's year round, move out to the market, manage a pipeline, all that type of stuff. So I ended up going to do pest first. And then for me, it was just I just kind of took it and ran with it and started to, get better and recruit and grow. And then, I actually didn't work at the Grit when I first started this. So I ended up coming over and working with them. I saw a lot of growth opportunity, and that's kind of how I ended up. But I really I think the biggest thing for me is find a place and just plant. Find a place where you can grow, be with the right people, plug into the right programs. And if you're doing that, I really don't think that there's a bad option. Now, the one thing I do like about Pest compared to some of these more high ticket sales is Pest control is so simple. It's really easy to teach people how to do it, to scale teams. And there will always be bugs. Like there just will always be bugs. uh,
There will not
you
always
have,
be net metering.
yeah, there's just complete control, which I like. Like I have complete control over everything. Whereas like, solar and other types of sales, it's like a lot of it is regulated by other things that you have no control over. That's why like why I choose that, but it's different for everybody. So
No, that's actually a very good, thoughtful, thought out answer. I appreciate you answering that. I don't typically ask that because I don't really care, but that's I'm a, if you watch the show a lot, I've been telling people like, dude, if pest control guys worked year round, which I know the Grit's about to start doing this year, you would make like 10 times more money than solar guys. And most guys in pest control end up making more money than solar guys anyway. Like the percent of the pest control industry makes more money than 80 of the solar industry. It's like everyone wants to get into solar because they think that solar is a bunch of money. Now I did it, but it's so like it's so backwards, dude. I feel so bad for people because I'm like, dude, you should just go try to make like $100,000. And if you did that, you'd be better. But they're all trying to make $1 billion. And I'm like, you got to make your first $100,000 first. And
yeah.
they end up getting in their own way. So, all right, dope. Tell me a little bit about this year. So a lot of times I'm not really I am really big with routines, but I'd like to know if you can bring me back to your Golden Door year, which you're just coming off of it, bring me back to the middle of it or the preparation. Let's start with the preparation. Were there things that were you at Door to Door Con the previous year?
No, I didn't go.
Okay. Were you at the Grit the previous year?
Yes.
Okay. So you saw all the guys that came back with the award, just under 20 of them. And you were like, holy crap, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it actually was right around January of last year when it's interesting you say that because I had a conversation with my wife. It was after the summer of 22. I had just done like 400K, so I wasn't like way far off.
Yeah, you're doing really well.
Yeah. Door to door, right? It's just, especially when you're married and then yet, you add kids into the mix, which we don't have any yet. My wife's pregnant right now, expecting in June. It's not all about you anymore. Where when you're single, you can just go out and, spend as much time and whatever, right? And it's just not easy for the wives. I think like most people will say that. But that year, I actually came back and I had a conversation with one of my leaders, and I'm like, look, like I'm done doing the intense summers. Like it's just not great for like my wife and everything. So the original plan was actually to go and, do a little bit more part-time, which like I knew that I was good and like I could go and sell a lot and make good money in like half the time. And that was the original plan. But after like thinking about like really what I wanted and like kind of like what what my why was and my long-term goals, I came to the conclusion that I was like, you know what, I need to do a Golden Door. After that summer, I knew I could do it. I just knew that if I wanted to help anybody else get to that point, or if I wanted to actually be somebody that like people wanted to work with, which is a lot of guys' goals, is like they want to recruit big teams and build organizations and have impact and stuff. And I just knew that for me, it was like I had to do a Golden Door to do that. Not everyone does, but that was something that like I needed to do to be able to get to where I wanted to be. And so the plan changed, and I kind of just had a conversation with my wife one night, and I was just like, it was after one of our big leadership conferences, all the feelings and all the things, which is kind of how they, I think they plan it out that way anyway. But I was just like, look, I need to go and do this. Like, I think for like what we want, it's going to be a sacrifice for like both of us, but like this is something that like I got to do to get to reach like my goals and my dreams. And like she was, she's supportive 100%. And after talking, like it totally made sense. And yeah, that was when I had determined that I was going to do it. And in my head, it was just like, when I had committed to it, like I knew it was going to get done. Like it was already done. I just had to go and actually do it.
You said some things there that I want to kind of jump into. What was that conversation like with your wife? How did you sell her, convince her, persuade her, guide her, lead her, whatever anybody wants to call it, sell her on this is what I need from you?
Yeah. Well, it was a total shift because it was like, it was going to be from, I was going to spend that summer, like, way more casual, be able to spend more time with her, et cetera, right? And
What
then
the
it just
hell do you
switched.
do not during the summer?
What's that?
What the hell do you do not during the summer?
Oh no, see, that's the thing too, is like we do have a lot of time, but also like during the off season, even though you call it the off season, it's like, I'm in the office pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So more flexibility.
You are right now.
Yeah, I am right now.
And it's currently off season.
Yeah, I think for my wife, right, it's not necessarily and every wife is different, right? For her, it's just because the reality of like what the summer is every single day, it's like you wake up early, you go to, I'm running the meetings, doing area, like, all these things, helping out the guys, doing everything I can. And it's like, I don't get home until, 10:30. And then it's like, we have like an hour. And a lot of the times it's like, you're so tired. You're just like, I want to go to bed. And it's just, you're trying to be as present as possible. And it's just not easy. So for her, it was just like, it was a total shift of like, hey, this is like what it's going to be. And like, we had talked about it. It's interesting though, you say that, because this conversation that we had, you can go all the way back to when we first started dating. I remember literally on our first date, because we had talked a lot before. She lived in Idaho and I lived in Utah, and we had talked a lot before. But I remember on our first date, I just told her, I'm like, look, this is what I do. I'm like, this is like my goals and my dreams, and this is like kind of like, if we want to like be serious and have this go somewhere, like this is the reality of like what it's going to be. And if you can't, like, if that's not something that you're down for, then like it probably just won't work. And so that was like, that conversation was done a long time ago. So like when the conversation was brought up, it's like, I will support you for like whatever you feel like makes the most sense. And that's kind of what it was. But after kind of being like, look, like, I'm not doing this for me. Like, I'm not like, it's not about me. Like, it's not about me. It's not about the money. It's about like, I want to be able to have as much impact as possible. And like, I feel like I have to go do this to be able to help other people get to where they want to be. And I have to be the leader and the sales guy and the person that like people want to work with. And I just told her, I'm like, look, this is like what I know is going to be best for me, you, and our future family, and like our future. And so it wasn't like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you should do it. It was like, yeah, no, I agree. And she's way, way, way supportive. And we created a system of, how to make it easier, which I can jump into if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm trying something new with my wife right now. That's like, yeah, so I'm always open. I actually like going into the wife talk on this show because I think that guys that are not married need to know about this before. Because one of my life's callings is to help lower the divorce rate in the entrepreneur world. And I think that guys, like in my community group, my church, we were like talking about the marriage verses this week, and I'm like, yo, we need to be talking more about this. They're like, yeah, this is very like controversial. I'm like, this isn't controversial at all. We need to be talking more about this. Road to the Golden Doors really is road to how to not, suck in marriage. So
yeah,
let's go into it.
100%. I agree. And I think what you're doing is great. My parents are divorced. And so I know firsthand all about it. It's not fun. And
Matt, nobody signed up and said, I can't wait to marry you for 20 years. And then when the kids move out, divorce you. And let's not only that, let's grow apart during the entire time and let the kids notice that, because they're not idiots either.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So our
getting me
our
fired
thing,
up
right?
over here.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty passionate about it too. That's why, like I was saying, my first conversation with her was like, look, this is what I do, and this is what it will be. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, divorce won't be an option. Like, it won't. And so if you're not down for this right now, and like it's gonna be hard, like, then like this probably just won't work out, right? and my wife is great. Like she seriously is the best. And I feel so lucky that, you know, she's the one that I get to do this life with and everything. But, as far as that summer, like she doesn't love being out there in the summer because it's like, you know, you're in a hotel room. Hold on, I think my headphones just disconnected. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you can like edit that out or whatever.
It's all good. We'll let it run.
Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of like how sales goes. Sometimes there's roadblocks and you just get right back on. What a good lesson. But yeah, so for my wife, it's just hard for her to be out there, which like rightfully so. Kind of sucks to just be in a hotel all day and all that stuff, right? Her second summer, we got a dog, little French bulldog, Virgil.
All that, dude. It's a badass dog, dude. I actually have that written down. I want to talk about your dog.
He's a chiller. I love Virgil. So we got her a dog, like that helped a lot. She has somebody, but we just kind of realized like, she does better when she's not out there. And I actually sell better when she's not out there. Some people are not like that. Some people like need their wife to be there and all that stuff. So before like the summer started, I was like, look, I'm going to come back to Utah, I will spend a whole week with you, undivided attention, which goes a longer way for her than just to spend a month straight of like 1 hour a day. And so we knew that like that was something that would work for us. Like that was something that worked for like our relationship. I'm not saying that would work for everybody. I mean, I talk to guys at the Grit where they're like, oh wow, you went home like during the summer. I could never do that. I could never go home and like go home for the summer and like come back. And like for me, it actually does me good to have a little break. Like that's just how I am. I came back that my first time being back and I had my best week of the summer coming back. So like that was something that like I've just learned works for me. Like if I have a little reset, like I'm great. Some people are not like that. Like I know like for example, Zach Seeger, like I don't think that would be great for him to come back home and he's just going intense. For me, like that's just something that, you know, works for me and worked for my wife. And that was something that she needed. Like she needed me to come back for me to be able to hit the goal. And for me, it was like the reality is like, okay, cool. If I come back for 2 weeks, reality is I'm just going to have to stay out for two more weeks if I have to. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Yep.
So you getting your wife on board was you had a bit of a system, which sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Getting your wife on board sounds like ironing out a system of, you know, kind of the reality of, hey, this is what it's going to be. And I think that every, you know, entrepreneur has that kind of conversation with their wives before they're their wife. I had pretty much the exact conversation, almost word for word. When I met my wife, it was during like the peak of Mikey Lucas's solar career and had a bunch of offices, a bunch of reps, and it was literally nonstop to 95 hours every single week. And I was tracking every little thing that I was doing on an app called A Tracker. So I could show you. It's very interesting it was a very interesting time. And I would track how much time I was spending with Ryan, my now wife. And it was like always like 11 o'clock to like 1 a.m. And that was like the only time. Now, luckily we're in Vegas. So like it's open 24 hours. So we could go and do coffee shops and all that stuff and hang out. You know, parks were technically not open, but like we can go to parks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's that conversation I think guys just avoid that because they try, I don't know, maybe push the envelope too much. Maybe, I don't know. I think like if we don't get our way, then like we kind of like how resentful. And I've noticed that in myself a little bit too, sometimes where I'm like, yo, my wife doesn't want me to win. What the heck? Like I thought she was on board. And it's like, you know, the same concept of like, you know, you said you were on board. Now, why are we here? You know, why aren't you on board now? And I think one of the main reasons why is, like you said earlier, you were clear about not only what your why was, but also your long-term goals. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to marriage or a successful business relationship or marriage, which they're one and the same. You will either end one or the other in death or divorce. So you should prepare for both. But having what I believe is some of the reasons why I think my wife and I do so well or have struggled well in growing together is because we have regular meetings about our long-term visions and our long-term goals. So yeah, I think that's probably a little nugget that I got from you there. So are you doing that with your wife as well? And other than just that summer, are you communicating long-term goals? It looks like you're talking about buying a house and all that stuff, your kiddos. And is that something that you guys regularly do as well?
Yeah. No, we talk quite a bit about stuff like that because, right, communication is for sure key in everything. Yeah. We normally actually, I feel like it's like an everyday conversation. where like we're talking about, our, what's going to happen this month and next month and this year and today and in the next few hours. Like we're always talking, and, sometimes you got to make adjustments, and, you got to do whatever is best. But yeah, we're always talking about the vision and the dreams and what we need to do to like make things, to put each other in the best position possible for the situation.
Love that.
Yeah.
You did mention, I'm going to transition, but let me close this conversation off with, you said it's not easy for the wives. Why do you think that's the case?
Again, I think everyone's different. My wife, so she's a hairstylist, and like she's kind of transitioned out of that because like really her thing is like she just wants to be a mom, which like I totally agree with. Like I want her to be fully present for like our kids. So like during the summer, she's not going to go and just work at some hair salon for 3-4 months. So like she doesn't work like during the summer, and it just gets boring. Like it's not great. Yeah. Like it's,
I don't scroll Facebook so many times. You can only watch the reruns on ESPN so many times.
Yeah, I mean, like you can imagine sitting in a hotel room, for a summer. Like it's just not great, not fun. So that's why, like, we bought our first house 3 years ago, and like she's just way more comfortable in our house, and we've learned that like when I'm gone, like, her parents will come stay with her and stuff because her dad just works remote, and that helps her a ton. So like we just find little things that just that help with like I said, the situation, and like just make it a little bit easier, right? Getting a dog helped, having a house helps, having her parents come and be with her helps. You just gotta, you take the situation and you do whatever is best to make it work.
Yeah, it seems like thank you for that, brother. It seems like, Matt, you've thought through this. And let me ask you this. Are you learning from somebody? Are you observing somebody? It sounds like you've learned a lot of what to do and what of lot not to do with your parents. Same for me. Mm-hmm. Are you learning from somebody? Who are you observing to learn stuff like this from?
Yeah, I mean, I've been observing since I was 13, like when my parents split up. I think I learned a lot of like what I don't want, and I think then you also see like you just have to literally flip the script and be like, oh, I just need to do the opposite of this. I think the reality is I've actually seen this a ton in sales, and I think you probably have too. Like some people totally neglect their relationships to do this. And for me, like that's just not something that's like worth it to me. Like I've seen tons of people in the space like get divorced and multiple times, and like you can even see there's people that are married that totally neglect their relationships. And like I'm not perfect, right? Like there's definitely sacrifices that like we all make, and like there's times where like I wish I could spend more time with like my wife, but it's like I have to just keep working and progressing at the my goals and what I want. But like to totally neglect a relationship, like that's just not worth it. It's like you ask me who I am, it's like the first person I am is like I'm a husband, I'm a soon-to-be father. Like that's my number one priority. Obviously there's going to be sacrifice along the road, but yeah, I've seen like people I've worked with, like I've seen a ton of like, not good examples, and I've also seen like a ton of way good examples. Like one person that like I think deserves to be like highlighted is John Taylor. Like he runs this $1 million organization, and he's got 2 kids and a wife. And I know also like he's not perfect, and you a lot of times only see like the good, but he has a great relationship with his wife and his kids, and he spends time with them, and like you can see that he's present when he's there. So he's been a great example to like look up to. But you see all around the space, like people totally neglect their relationships, and I think it's horrible. I think they're like a lot of people are like, oh, like you can't have balance, like when you're trying to, hit this intense goal or whatever. And like, I just think that's wrong. Like, I think you definitely need to have balance. Like there still has to be some type of sacrifice, but like you have to like put your family and your wife and all this stuff first. And like, you have to be able to like fill that cup. Because if you don't, it's just gonna, it's gonna crumble and honestly make things like way worse.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of weight behind that, Matt, that if Mikey's having a bad week, it's because my wife and I are not doing very well.
Sure.
It's not just me. Like this is very common throughout entrepreneurs that how, if their house is not ran pretty tight, you could almost guarantee that their business is not going to run very well for very long. Now, don't get me wrong. There is obviously cases where guys completely neglect their family for the sake of success. And that's not the people I'm talking about. We're not talking to those guys. We're talking about obviously guys like us who are listening and you're like, dude, I want to have whole life success. I want to have a great relationship. I want to have all the money. I want to have all the charitable donations. I want to have the impact. I want that. And I think that, that conversation about having balance is a very important conversation. There's many ways to say it, harmony, balance, whatever. But you're right. There is a level of sacrifice. Seeger actually said that. He called it pre-overcoming in the show. If you don't see the show, it's very good. I talked to him about him and his wife as well. He said he had to pre-overcome that, the whole, like, I'm going to go hit a golden door and this, that, and the other thing. I think that I've been using that ever since. And I'm a big, I don't think he knows that. I mean, I told him a few times, but I don't think he knows how important that was. I learned that from him. And that's really, I don't want to say it saved my marriage, but it's definitely improved my marriage a lot.
For sure.
It's just this lack of like, okay, so to put it super straightforward, I sell things all day long, right? I go out and I talk to dudes about oil and gas and investing, something like that all day long. And I don't want to have to come home, have to sell my wife on like, hey babe, let's have sex. Hey babe, like, let's, no, I don't want to have to do that. So oftentimes I've seen not only in my marriage, but also in other marriages that I've talked to dudes about this, I don't want to say issue, but this situation where I'll just lay down and be like, hey man, like, whatever, and not be the alpha leader that my wife ultimately married, the badass, like top G that she married and knows about. And oftentimes I'm just, sometimes I would just avoid the conversation, but learning and being virtually mentored by Jordan Peterson, realizing that I have to have those tough conversations with my wife. And if there's a problem, attack it immediately and gracefully, because that's what my wife needs. Yeah, go ahead.
It's all about setting proper expectations. Like the times where there is conflict, it's always because like expectations weren't met. And so if you can do your best to set proper expectations, it's the same thing with sales. Like you got to set expectations with your reps, but if you can set expectations with your wife, right? It's like in the classic example is like, I would way rather tell my wife, like I'll be home closer to like, 9 or 10, like, hey, it's going to be late. It's going to be a late day. I don't know exactly when I'm going to be home. Then be like, oh, like I'll try and be home at 6. And then I'm home at 6. And it's like, what? Like you said 6,
I've seen one of my buddies' marriage suffer because of that.
Yeah.
His wife would like push him to be home at like 6, 7 o'clock. And I'm like, brother, like you have a 6:30 on your calendar. What do you mean you're gonna be home at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
How's that even possible? A guy that I used to coach for a very long time. I'm like, brother, that like you're setting yourself up for failure here. Like, just tell your wife when you're home at 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Just gotta set the right expectations, right? And you learn. Like sometimes you don't, and you gotta learn. And you try again the next time, and you get better. Marriage is all about learning and improving and growing together. So
I think that's the most important part. The most important part of this conversation here is like done is better than perfect. And just because you fail doesn't mean you can't get back up. It's like riding a bike, man. You just keep trying. Right? Yeah. Like you just, have hope for a future and just keep on trying. So awesome. Let me transition. That was a really cool conversation. Appreciate that, bro. Thank you. Let's talk about some of your, some breakthroughs that you had, before that. Let me talk about some of the struggles, because I think what I get is guys that want to hit, whether that be a golden door or they want to, lose 50 pounds. They want to get into a new industry, whatever that looks like for them, but they want to go and they've set all the goals. They've committed, right? Like you said earlier, they've committed. They've set all the goals. They've done the roadmap. They've got clarity on it. I teach guys how to multiply, manage, and give back their money, how to create 6 figures a year in passive income. They set the goal. They've got the sales. The wind is behind them. They're good to go. Yeah. But right in the middle of it, or within the first couple of weeks, there's a struggle that comes. And I want to talk to you about those. What happened during this year, Matt? What were some of the struggles, thorns, arrows that were thrown at you during your summer?
Sure. Yeah, dude, there was a lot.
Did you expect them?
I knew that there was going to be struggles. Like, I think when you have such a big goal, like, I think when you have such big goals and like such big dreams, like you're going to have the adversity. Like, I think it's just a universal law. Like the bigger the dreams, the bigger the goals, like the more adversity you're going to face. Like, I just think that's how it is for most people. Right. And I think that like pretty much everyone would say, anyone that goes out to do, some type of big goal, they all dealt with stuff, like everybody. Right. I think some people, deal with more than others, and some people, it's way, way worse than like others, but everyone deals with stuff. I mean, I can for sure talk about, a few different things that like were totally unexpected. first thing is I remember my first week, I think it was my first week, I went and knocked, I was knocking, and like for the first hour, like I was just getting totally just like tossed, like, you know, everyone's kind of been there. And I went back and like I sat in my car and I was like, this is going to be insane. Like I think I was at like 15 in revenue. It was like my first like 3 days or something knocking. And I was like, I literally have over 600 to go. And like, I just honestly, like I just broke down. Like I was just like, this is going to be like insane. And obviously like it was just, you know, I was just getting in my head and like I was fine, got out of the car. I think I sold my second door after that. And I ended up doing, I think like almost 10K that day or something. But like that, yeah, that was the first thing. Also, like I had a ton of like health problems this year. I've always had like I don't know, like I honestly don't even know to like this day, like what is wrong with me, but I have horrible stomach problems. There's like a lot more, there's a bunch of other things that like I won't get way into, but yeah, I have horrible like stomach problems. I've tried a ton of things, different medications, like I take like probiotics. It's like my gut. I get like acid reflux. I don't know if you are like way familiar with that.
Oh, bro, I've healed my acid reflux. I've had a leaky gut for a very long time. Like I've had really bad. So
yeah,
if you want to talk about that later on or after, like, we don't got to get into it, but yeah, no, I had to fix that.
Yeah.
I had a super bad.
We might
like,
need to, but
terrible.
But yeah, like I take medication for that and probiotics, and honestly, like, you know, not to get too graphic, but like like during the summer, like it was pretty much every single morning, like I would throw up like every day.
Same.
Like I'd be dehydrated, like, you know, like it's hard enough to go out and knock every day, but then like also when you are just throwing up all the time and you're feeling sick and all this other stuff, right? I think also like when you're going out to do something, you know, a goal like this, it's like you're going to have some type of anxiety, which like I've never really had, but I think like I had like the most of it this last year, which probably didn't help. Probably didn't help with like all the other things that I'm feeling. And like I said, the plan was like my wife was not going to come out for the summer. Like she was just going to, like I was going to come back to Utah. But I remember one day, I think this was probably in like July, I just called her and I'm like, hey, like I need you to come out here. Like I think I've always been pretty independent, but I think like I had this realization that like, oh, like I actually like need my wife. And so she came out and that was way good. To backtrack a little bit too, like she got pregnant in February, right before the summer, and then she miscarried, which was like way hard. So like we're going into the summer of like coming off of that, which like especially for her, right? It's like her body and it's just way different. It's a lot more emotional for her than like it is for me. And then, you know, it's hard for me because like she's not doing good, right? But the time where she came out in the summer, she came out for the summer for like a month and she ended up getting pregnant again. And we were like way stoked. And when she went back, I remember we were in northern Indiana, and then I went to Cincinnati to go finish out the goal. I had like 100K left. And I'm like 100K away from the goal. And I remember I was at we were at a Cincinnati Reds game. I was with Zach Kinzel. I don't know if you've had him on the podcast, but he's one of my best friends. And I get this call from my wife, and she is just in shambles. She's like, I'm cramping again. Like I think I'm going to miscarry again. And she ended up miscarrying again. So we're too deep now. And so like I'm 100K away from the goal. And I think the easiest thing would have just been like, oh, wow, like we've already made way good money, like come back. But I just like, I think back on like, well, why am I doing this? It's like, I'm literally doing this for you and for like our family and like our future. And, you know, give her the support and everything that you can. And it's like, I'll be back soon. It's going to be okay. Like we're going to get through it. And I ended up having my 2 best weeks ever right after that, back to back. I did 50K week 1 and week 2 did 50K and finished it out, right? Something happens when your back is up against the wall and you got to get home to your wife, especially in like that situation. But yeah, like that was way hard. And then a miracle was like I got back and like we must have got pregnant like as soon as I got back. Cause like now, she's pregnant for the 3rd time. She's almost 30 weeks pregnant now. And so everything, is working out and whatnot. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of stuff that like I had to go through and things I didn't expect. And everyone does, like everyone will tell you there's hard things, right? Some are harder than others. I think there's way worse things that like could have happened. But yeah, it was tough. I think the thing for me though is I never ever not once thought about I'm going to give up. Like not like one time, like literally anything could happen. And it's like, no, like I didn't come this far to come this far. Like it was already done. It was already done like in March when I had decided like, oh, I'm getting this done. Like it was already done. And so you take the crap that's thrown at you and you embrace it and you roll with it. And the thing is too, is like, dude, if you want to be a leader and you want to help guys get to where you're at, like they're going to deal with the same stuff. And so you can't look someone in the eyes and be like, look, dude, like it's going to be okay. It's like, no, really, like it's going to be okay. Like I've been through it. Like it's going to be hard. Like you're going to have the crap stack up. And it's like, dude, you just push through it. Like it's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. You're going to get it done, but like it's going to come. And that's what I'd say to like literally everyone. It's like, if you're going to go out and do this, like if you're going to go out and hit this golden door, just be prepared. Like you will have so much adversity that you're not expecting. Like it's going to come. Like it's going to come in ways that you might have expected and not expected, but it's going to come and it's going to be a lot. And like it is going to be hard, but you have to make the decision beforehand that it's like, it's already done. No matter what's going to come at me, like it's already done, and you're going to stick with it through the entire process until the job is finished.
Thanks for sharing that, dude. I got goosebumps like 3 times when you were sharing that. So pretty wild. So you were able to have some breakthroughs. I kind of got a little glimpse of it. What are some of the breakthroughs that you got from hitting your golden door, getting the award on stage, being in that group rather than not being in that group picture? What are some of the breakthroughs now, since if you can reflect, have you been able to have time to reflect on the year?
Oh yeah, like a lot.
Walk me through some of those.
Yeah, like getting the award is cool. Like it's cool to be on the stage and whatever, but like it's actually not that cool. I think what's cool and like where I've been able to
fly down, lift you up.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
it wasn't anything like that. But I think the biggest thing for me is like, you know, now like, you know, we're having a kid and we're having a boy. I think the coolest thing is like I know that he's gonna go through stuff. And it's going to be hard, and he's going to be, you know, have to do really hard things. And I think for me, it's like, well, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And, you know, you have to face all this adversity. And now it's like, I know that I can like look him in the eyes and be like, hey, dude, like, you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to get through, wow, I'm getting emotional. You're going to get through like whatever life's going to throw at you. It's like, I've been there, like I've done it. And so like, I want to be that example to like my son. And like, that's really like, you know, a lot of the reflection, right? And it's like, I work with my brother and I work with tons of guys that like, I care about a lot. And, I just feel like you can't help somebody to do something and get through something and accomplish something if like you haven't done it, or at least like if you aren't willing to do it. And so the whole thing of getting a golden door, like it wasn't for me. It really wasn't. It's like, it's not about the money. Like you'll ask pretty much everyone that does it, like it's not about the money. It's about like accomplishing something that takes a lot of grit and it's hard and something that like a lot of people just cannot do. And then it's like you're able to help others get to that point. And so a lot of my reflection has just been like, I now want to take what I've learned and like what I've done and transfer that over to the people that I care about and hope that I can have some type of impact on them to be able to accomplish something like that, whether it's a golden door or something else. I hope that experience is just going to lead me to impact as many people as I can.
It will. Yeah, you'll see many opportunities and open doors still to share that emotional roller coaster that you went through, giving it all you got, leaving it all on the court, not giving up, not quitting, not just for your kids, but currently for your family, with your wife. Like, dude, if I can go through this, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. And Matt, I'll tell you this, man, there has been, we haven't had a miscarriage, but we haven't had a kid even, and we've been trying. So that's an issue in and of itself that is an issue in and of itself. I'll tell you this, man, like the story you just told me is a preparation for whatever God has for you in the future, man. Like there's an ability to have like that. I don't know, it's not like thick skin, but just staying power. And if you can realize that I got through that, I'm going to get through this. It's just preparation. Like a lot of times where I see whether that was in my coaching career or like, you know, leadership career, is sometimes people just back out too quickly. And the difference between dudes that make it long term and don't are the ones that, just like you said, just push through a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. And it's funny, I sent that, have you ever seen that meme that's like 2 dudes that are like digging and like there's diamonds right behind and the one dude's like an inch away and he's turning around, he's all upset, and the other guy's still digging and he's like, you know, whatever, 5 feet away.
Yeah.
It's like, I sent that to my group recently because that's what I felt Spirit leading me to do. And it was like, dude, some of you guys are so close. Do not give up now. Like, you're so stinking close. And for me, like, that's relevant and pretty much on a weekly basis for me. I'm like, I'm so close. Even though I mean, it's just like every week, every month, every quarter, even every year, it's just, we're just growing and growing. And it just feels like we've got so far to go and we're so close. What's funny is that if we did stop working right now, my wife and I could live the exact same lifestyle that we want. We could actually travel the entire world for freaking ever and not ever have to work ever again. We really didn't have to.
Yeah.
We could stop. We could, because of the investments I got from door-to-door sales. But the good news is, Matt, is that you've got this one experience, and then you start to couple that with reflecting on marriage, your family's divorce, getting through that, and 50 other things that you start to couple together. Now you're like, bro, if I can get through this and get through that, I'll get through anything.
25.
Oh, bro, you've got so much. Like, you got 5 more years of like the shit sandwich, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's going to set you up, bro. I really, really looking forward to following you for a very long time, because the level of commitment that I see in you, and I can hear your heart, just being a great leader, being a great father, being a good steward of your finances, being a good husband, obviously. Like, I'm very excited that I met you. And it's very funny because I'm like, sometimes when I get in the pre-show with these guys, I'm like, I don't know about this kid,
Yeah.
But I'm definitely impressed, not just because you have a cool story, but I'm definitely just impressed with your wisdom as an adult entrepreneur, as a male entrepreneur. Sometimes I'm not impressed, but with you, I am. So it's a very
Thank you. That's really nice.
Yeah, man. What are some of your end goals? Like, where do you see yourself out in 10 years from now?
Yeah. There's a lot.
It can be as broad as you want, or as specific as you want.
Yeah. I think for me, like, the ultimate goal, right, is like I wanna have freedom. Like, I wanna have the time. Like I said, like, the most important thing to me is like my family, and I want to be able to have the time to, like, to spend with them. And like with that comes like the sacrifice now, which like I think I've understood for like a really long time. I got to be willing to sacrifice now so that, in the future, I can do things that most people just can't do. And door-to-door sales has already provided, so much freedom, and you know how it is, where you can be flexible with your time, and you can, have experiences and travel and do all these things, right? So like, really, like, that's the end goal. Like, I'm excited to be, a part of the grit. Like, I don't think that anyone can really comprehend like where the grit's going to be in 10 years. It's going to be insane. And I'm grateful that I've been here since the beginning, and I'm a part of the growth, and like, I'm going to continue to be a part of the growth. I get to, work with my best friends and have impact and make way good money, and it's just awesome. I want to continue to be a part of like what we're building here. I also am a big, like, I love real estate. Like, I bought my first home a few years ago, bought a townhouse, a rental property in August. We're building a house right now. So the goal is to just continue to keep, stacking dubs with real estate and investing and all that stuff. But I think, ultimately, like, I want to be able to impact as many people as I can and be able to impact my family. I think it's really, really hard for me to tell you like, exactly what I want, because like, my son isn't even born yet. Like, I know that when that happens, like, a lot of things are going to shift, and a lot of things are going to change, and the way that I feel about a lot of things are going to change. But like, I want to be the best dad. Like, I want to be the best dad that I can, and have a great relationship with my son and our future kids. And like, that's like the most important thing to me, is being just a great father and husband.
Why do you think it's so important for so many of the top performers that they want to buy their time back and they want time freedom? Why do you think that's so important to them? Or why is that important to you, and why is that important to them?
That's a great question. I think that like most people, like, that's what they want, whether they know it or not. Like, I think that that's what a lot of people want. I think it's like it's just a natural thing that like most people want is, most people do want to spend time with, their families and their friends, and have experiences and all that stuff. And I think a lot of I think that that's just what like a lot of the top performers want, because one, I think they've seen it from like other people. Like, they see like the rewards of like putting in the work and accomplishing that. But I also think too, like, they just know it's possible. They know like the door-to-door sales is like the gateway to get you into that. A lot of people don't have the opportunity, or they don't know like what vehicle is going to get them there. And so that's why you see a lot of people that like aren't on that path, because I think they just don't know how to get there. And I think like in door-to-door, people know that like that is the vehicle. Like, that is the vehicle that's going to get you there, and they know what they have to do. Like, they know what they have to do to accomplish that. It's going to be hard and it takes a lot of work, but like, they know it's possible. And so they see all these other people doing it. They know it's possible. They believe it's possible, and then they just get to work and do it.
I wrote something down. I'm going to probably put some content around this. Let me ask you this. Do you know if at all any person that's ever won the lottery that did not change their lifestyle?
I have no idea. I would guess that everyone that has won the lottery totally did change their lifestyle.
So I've been talking about this a lot, and I guess not talking about, I have talked about it, but I've been pondering this a bunch. I think that when you were saying a bit ago, you're like, everyone wants I think what it comes down to is, and I say the lottery because I'm in Texas now, being born and raised in Vegas. So, spent whatever 20 something years in Vegas, and, gambling is very, I'm numb to it because it's just everywhere. Right. But in Texas, there's the lottery signs on like all over the freeways, like everywhere you go. And there's like 3 times between 12 minutes from my high rise to my wife's hospital and back, I see the 1 million. And then the next, couple days, it's 200 million. Now I think it's like 600 million again now. And I'm like, even in my own head, like a couple months ago, I was like, it was really hard. Business was hard. Just getting out of fundraising season. It was like January, a couple months ago. I was like, babe, let's just win the lottery. Like, F it. Come on. Let's just go. And what that made me think of is that everyone, I think deep down inside, just wants to win the lottery and just wants to have it all together. And I don't know, there might be very few, but I don't know anybody, and I'll do some research on this, but I don't think anybody that's ever hit like mega bucks, hundreds of millions, didn't change their lifestyle. And I think what that means is something along the lines of like, we all want, like, it's funny because the reason why I say this is because certain people, when I talk to them about money, not all, certain people go, I don't want really the money. I don't want the money. I don't, not that they don't want the money, but like, I'm talking like really limited mindset people, like really, really financially limited. If I had the money, I wouldn't really buy the Denali or the Escalade. I would just have the regular beat up old school Tahoe. It's like, and I'm not talking like vintage. I'm talking like, just like a beat up used truck because they're, in their head, they don't even think it's even possible. But I think at the end of the day, I think everybody ultimately, if they won the lottery, they would absolutely change their lifestyle. And I think that there's a disconnect. I guess, what am I trying to say here? There's a disconnect in not only in entrepreneurship, the work that you have to put in to do that, but also I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants to win the lottery and they live this like fantasy lifestyle that if people that play the lottery, I see it all the time, they think they're going to win the lottery. Straight up. And I don't know if they're just not willing to go put in the work, but like for us, it's like, we just go knock on doors, right? Go knock on doors. Like you can, maybe not win the lottery right off the bat, but like if you live under your means, you follow the roadmap, you invest 40 to 50% of every dollar comes in, you do what you're doing, you buy a house every couple of years, or you either sell it and upgrade and, take the tax deferred money or the tax free money out of the properties and keep going up. $500 a year, tax-free money when you sell your house because you're married, tax-free money, right? And just keep going up, going up, going up. I don't know. Very few people, I think, that win the lottery don't change their lifestyle. And I think at the end of the day, there's a difference between, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I was trying to go somewhere with that. I think we all want it easy. And the thing about, I guess, the Golden Door guys, the guys that I interviewed, all these high performers, is like, they're just willing to put in the work no matter what.
Yeah, they don't believe in, a lot of them just, they don't believe in the handouts.
Right. But going back to the time freedom thing, I think everybody wants to be on the beach drinking a mimosa, in Bali, hanging out. I don't think anybody that's ever won the 100. I think that's what I was trying to bring it back to. I got lost there. ADD, sorry. I think everybody ultimately wants to be on the beach, chilling on vacation all the time. But they kind of act like, it's not that big of a deal, right? But I would even challenge you to do what somebody challenged me not that long ago to do, was to write out what your life is going to look like in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, and 50 years from now. And in the best case point of view, best case scenario, Matt and Lauren are XYZ 5 years from now, 10 years from now, so on and so forth. And do your best to go extensive as possible. And obviously be open and willing to, adapt, because you will, as obviously you know that. But hope deferred makes the heart sick. I think that's what a lot of us lack, is just clarity. Even in myself, I have to, I take my clarity. I don't even have a vision board anymore. I've got a clarity board. There's a difference between a clarity board and a vision board. You know what it is?
Clarity board is like is it more of like what you got to do to get to the vision board?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think vision boards are great, but I've been talking about clarity boards recently, and
you're making like an actionable plan of how to accomplish what's on your vision board. Yeah, it's great.
Exactly. And I think that is how guys that hit multiple golden doors in a row, that have a great marriage, or like have a great relationship with their family or whatever, and manage their money well, and all of that is because they've got clarity on what it's going to look like. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think too many people have like these dreams and goals and visions and things on their vision board with no actionable plan. Like they actually just are just hoping it's going to come. Like you hope you win the lottery.
Thank you.
and you're just not going to. Like, you have to go out and make it happen. And that's all of these, like, the people that are just winners, like whether it's in business, sports, sales, like whatever it is, dude, they just make it happen. They don't get handouts. They're not given this crazy opportunity. Like, dude, they just go make it happen. They know what they got to do. They put in the work and they get the results that they want.
Yeah. Small, consistent effort over time makes the lasting impact. Any cool books you've been reading this year or last year?
I've listened to a lot of books over the last couple years. I think like for me to hit the golden door, it's totally mindset. Everyone just thinks it's, oh dude, like what is the grit pitch? What makes you guys so good in your pitch? It's like, honestly, like our pitch really isn't that different from everyone else. You know, the reason why we've had so many golden doors is like these guys are surrounding themselves with people that have these insane mindsets, and you surround yourself with those people and like you're just going to become that. So for me, the two books that like I would say that like have really like, stood out to me is Winning and Relentless by Tim Grover. I think that like if like my invitation is like if you want to hit a big goal or you want to win, like you need to read both of those books. If you want to get better at your mindset, like you need to read those books. And like, you know, for anyone who doesn't know, Tim Grover, he was the personal trainer for Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade. And honestly, like, I really don't think that like those guys are special, like skill wise. Like definitely they totally were blessed with like this skill. But the reason that they were so dominant and like why they were just pure winners is like they mastered their mindset. Like they truly were relentless. They put in the time. They put in the time that it took to get good and to get better every single day. And so like I've listened to both those books twice. I normally actually listen to them nonstop on the drive out to market every single year because if you really want to hit a goal, you have to be strong in the mindset. Like you've got to master your mindset. And all of the top guys that I'm around, they'll tell you the same thing. It's not the pitch. Like you'll learn, you'll get better at your pitch and stuff, but like where you're really going to level up is where you level up your mindset. And so I think that's the first thing is like you've got to read books and listen to podcasts and surround yourself with people who have done what you want to do. Dig into the minds of those and copy and paste.
I.e. this podcast. Cooler, closer, cleaner. You went from a closer to a cleaner this year.
Yep.
And I think what it sounds like is the biggest thing that one of the biggest things that helped you get there was this mindset shift that you've been able to overcome and I guess obtain even, I would say. It's really interesting. I like it. Dude, it's been a freaking pleasure. I got through like 3 of my questions. I can keep going. But I want to respect your time. Any regrets you had last year? Wish you would have done better at this, done this different?
As far as sales, no. Like I think I I did it the best that I could have. I think like the only thing that like, and this is a focus that I'm really trying to like focus on this year, especially is I feel like a lot of my time in the space, especially with like recruiting and growing, trying to grow a business, like I feel like I've been way too focused on like, oh, I just need to go sell a ton. And if I can go and sell a ton, like my guys will sell a lot and they'll have a great experience, which is partially true. I think one thing I wish I like would have done better, and like this is like I said something I'm really trying to work on this year, is being there more like as like a mentor, friend, like more like emotionally available for like my guys that I work with. And I think I for sure could have done better at that this last year. It's hard to balance that, right? Like you're grinding at this goal and then you got your guys that you got to take care of. But like, for example, the Grit's doing this, we call it a spring block, where like it was like beginning of February until mid-March, like a 6-week little block. And I was actually planning, because we're having the baby in June. I was like, oh, I'm going to go out and like do a lot of my production in February or like in February and March. And I got out there and I started selling, and I was selling a lot. I honestly could have just kept selling and made way more money selling, but I ended up having 11, 12 rookies out there. It was their first time, and like people just struggle to sell when they first start. Like they just do. Like you've seen it. And honestly, like at the Grit, we really have never ever been about like knocking with reps, because it's normally during the summer and like the managers have this big goal to hit. It's kind of like, oh well, if I'm ripping, like they'll believe that they can rip and like they'll start selling a lot. And like personally, just do not think that like I can totally understand why we haven't done it, it, but I just don't think that like that's necessarily what everybody needs. Like some people do need that to see their manager like kind of lead from the front and everything. But what I did that, you know, those weeks that I was out there is like I sacrificed my own selling and I went out there and knocked with my guys. And like, you know, there were days where it was like way tough for some of them. And, you know, it's like, okay, cool. Like, it's fine. Like, let's go to the gas station. Like, let's get you a Gatorade. Like, let's take a deep breath. You're going to learn the whole mindset thing. Like, it's sales as a mindset. And it was just like being like way more emotionally there and like actually like showing them that like, hey, like I care. Like, hey, like I care to like that this is a great experience for you. And that like, I want this to impact you. Like, I want this experience to like change your life. And like, I kind of just went against like what we've always done. And I went out there and I just knocked with my guys and I showed them what it was like. And they got to see me get tossed around and go through objections and all this stuff. And I literally got every single person out there selling consistently, which like I never actually have had like that rate of success with like rookies in the summer where like, you know, they come out, they suck, they go home, you know, you get like, you know, half that stay or whatever it is. And I just think if I wouldn't have done that, like it would have been a totally different scenario. And so like, yeah, I totally sacrificed. Like I could have made way more money for sure selling than like actually spending time with like my reps and knocking with them and, you know, putting all those, you know, if like they were pitching someone and I had to come in and like, you know, save the sale, like, you know, put that sale under them. And it's cool because now it's like all these guys that are coming out, like, hey, you know, they're gonna be a part of the grit for a long time because it's like, once you know you can sell, like you're not going back to Chick-fil-A and working, you know, working an hourly job, right? So that's like really what I'm trying to focus a lot on this year. Like when I am selling, like I'm going to be selling like a lot, but it's like I want to sell a lot and lead from the front, but I also want to be like the guy that's like, hey, I can be your friend and like we're going to get through this and like I'm going to teach you, like I'm going to help you, like I'll help you get there, right? And this is the year where like I feel like because I sold so much, like I actually feel like I have gotten way better at like training and leading. There's a different type of respect that you get when you hit a goal like this from like everybody, whether it's people you work with or people you don't. But it's just like they're like, wow, like I remember when I first came into the space, like I look at, you know, I worked with Calvin Escobedo for a long time. And I just looked at him like, wow, like you're so good at this job. Like, and it's like now there's, you know, people that are like looking at me like that, where it's like, I'm able to actually help them and like help them get good. Right. It's like, I had this kid, we recruited this big squad from Auburn, Alabama. There's this kid, his name's Carter. He's like the main guy. This is his first year, came out to do this spring block thing and bageled his first 2 days. I went and knocked it with him for literally an hour and a half Friday night. We got, you know, it actually was less than that. I think it was like 45 minutes. Sold our second door. And he's like, wow, like me watching you do that, like that made so much more sense of like how this process goes. Next day he goes out and rips 6K, top rookie in the company. If I'm not mistaken, it was like the best day that any of the rookies had on the spring block out, like on the spring block out there. And it's just cool to see, like, it's like, yeah, you know, I can take some time and like be there for them emotionally, mentally, help them with their pitch and their sales process and all that type of stuff. And it actually like pay off. So when you talk about like, yeah, was there anything you regretted? I wish I would have done better at that this last year, but dude, you learn and you realize like what you got to do and the adjustments you got to make. And like, I hope that there's things that like I didn't do good this year that I can carry into the next year that like help me get better and help my guys get better and all that type of stuff. So
love that. No, it's actually super insightful there. What do you think a dude that's doing half of a golden door is doing different than a dude that's hitting a golden door?
Couple things. One, if you're doing half of a golden door, like honestly, like you're just choosing not to do a golden door. Most people know what they have to do and they just don't do it. Or they're like, oh, like it's going to be hard or I'm not going to hit it by this time. So like they're not actually willing to put the work in that it takes. I'm a huge believer that it's like, oh, well, if you can do half a golden door, like you can do a golden door. Like for sure, that guy is not different. He just is not different than the other guys that are hitting golden doors. He's just not. I think another thing is like they're probably just not controlling like their inputs. You can only control the controllables. Too many people get way too caught up on the things they can't control, like the adversity that's going to come. the HOA president following you around in the neighborhood, telling you can't solicit here because there's a sign, cops getting called on you, the weather. Like, there's just things you can't control. And as soon as you fall victim to any of those things you cannot control, like, it's going to be way harder for you to succeed. And so I think a lot of those guys probably like have a little bit of a victim mentality, and you have to fix that. But really the thing is first you have to just believe that you can do it, which, like, I think that anyone that's doing half a golden door for sure should believe that, like, they can. And if you don't, you need to surround yourself with more people that have done it, because the more people you surround yourself with that have done it, the more your belief goes up. The reason why, like, we had 37 golden doors, and like why we probably will have way more than that this next year, is because people are just seeing so many people win this thing, and they're like, well, if they can do it, like, I can do it. So you got to believe that you can do it. You got to control, like, you have to control your choices, right? Is this going to help me with my goal, or is it not? You have to pick, like, this is going to help me with my goal every single time. If you don't pick that, like, you're going to do half of what the golden door is. You can do half of what the golden door is on just skill. The other half is going to come from, like, making the right choices, being disciplined, doing the hard things, controlling the inputs, all that stuff. And then the last thing is just not deviating from your goal. Like, you can't, as soon as you have the hard day or the hard month or the hard whatever it is, you can't be like, oh, I just don't think it makes sense anymore. You have to decide before you do it that it's already done. And you have to you have to just not give up. You have to not quit. A lot of those guys that do half of that, they probably, like, at the beginning of the summer, like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And then it gets hard and they're like, I'm fine. Like, that's still a lot of money. Like, I'll be okay if I don't hit it. Like, it is what it is. Everyone that hits a golden door, like, they don't mistakenly hit a golden door. They hit it because they had decided that it was already done before they touched their first door in the summer, and there was nothing that was going to pull them off the path.
You ever heard the story of Roger Bannister, the 4-minute mile?
Yeah. Yep.
It was something like 37 people hit broke a 4-minute mile within 2 years of him breaking it, but, like, it was, like, humanly impossible before.
Same thing.
I just listened to an interview of his that I've downloaded and had for a very long time with Tony Robbins and Roger Bannister, and he was like, just talking about that. And I think you're right about, which again comes back to one of the reasons why I have this podcast, this show, is to show people, like, hey man, like, if you're really, really, really looking to excel in life, it's not sales tactics. A lot of it comes down to that you have said over and over and over again is your mindset about how you're going to show up when the crap storm hits your front door. And I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned from just this podcast alone is it doesn't matter, like, who you are, what industry you're in, what you do, where you're from, what your parents do or don't do. The storm's coming, and it's going to keep coming. And there's there's really no avoiding it. Now there is avoiding it on a large level, but that then takes the ultimate possibilities, unlimited amounts of possibilities away from you if you try to avoid these storms. And I think that's what most of our generation has done, 20 and 30-year-olds, is just like, we've thought that if the door is hard, you should just go around it. And I'm like, no, bust that door down, dude. We're going to C4 to that door, go around it, get through a window, go through the roof. Like, I'm freaking getting in this house, right? Kind of concept. And
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's really, really good conversation, brother. I love this, dude. I like that a lot. I think the mindset thing is important. The communication thing with your wife is important. I mean, you've got a lot of really good years ahead of you, man. If you could just continue to stay focused, continue to stay dialed, laser focused, and just move, brother. You've got a really, really good future ahead of you, man. Any final words for the Golden Door Award winners?
I like people that are setting out to do it this year.
No, that have already hit it. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for people that do it. Like, it's just hard. Like I said earlier, like, everyone's going through stuff. You look at these guys and you're like, oh, it must have came easy to them. No, like, it didn't. Like, I promise you it didn't. Like, yeah, no, I really I have a lot of respect for everyone in any industry that is, the top percent or whatever it is that hit it. It's not easy. And those guys are winners. Like, they just are. And it's like, the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything. Like, I know that those guys aren't just winners on the doors. Like, they're winners at everything. Whatever they do, they're going to be winners. And I have a lot of respect for those guys that have done it. Matt Duvalois, it's been a pleasure. Where can we find you, bro?
Yeah, I'd love to connect with anybody. Instagram is great. My handle's just Matt Duvalois, Duvalois. I'm always down to connect. And yeah, I'd love to work with you. I would say this for anyone that's like, obviously like, you know, in sales and getting into sales or has been in the industry for a while, no matter what industry it is, whether it's pest, solar, alarms, insurance, windows, like you name it, like I would just say my one piece of advice is like you need to work with someone who is like one of the best in that industry. Like I personally think like if you're not working with someone who's done a gold door or more in whatever industry, like you're crazy. You will not get to where you want to be if like you're, you know, if in past your manager's doing like you're not going to go and sell 5 or 6 with your manager doing that. Like you need to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. Like maybe if you want to sell, that's great. Like go and work with that guy. If you really, really want to level up, like no matter what industry, like go and work with a golden door, go and work with someone who has done it at the highest level. That is going to be the single-handed, like the most important thing to get you to your success.
Freaking love that, dude. I've been preaching that for years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some people just don't get it, actually.
We'll put all your socials in the show notes below. Matt, man, appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing your success this year, brother. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bro.